Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode 192 of the We Can't Wrestle Podcast. Nate Maxson, your host, here with you, and I am joined this week by, well, the gang's all here. We got Aaron Maxson.
Hello, everybody.
Mr. Archie Mitchell.
What's up?
And Mr. Mark Brew.
Hello.
Are we really only 8 away from 200?
Yep.
Well, damn.
Getting there, getting closer. And
We're in the big leagues now, y'all.
I'm going to try to make episode 200 longer than episode 100.
Wasn't that like 4 days long?
For those of you that don't know, episode 100 was almost 6 hours long. So
Yeah, 4 days.
Yeah.
Yep, I better clear my schedule.
Right.
But we had a little homework assignment that I gave everybody for this week's show that was kind of fun. We're going to discuss, and this caveat I have to throw in here. This is not what would be regarded by the masses necessarily as the greatest. These are our personal favorite WWF/WWE championship matches of all time. That is just the lineage that goes from Bruno Sammartino in 1963 until Roman Reigns today with the WWE Championship. So you would not include the World Championship. You would not include the Universal Championship. All the things, all the branches off that we've had over the years, especially since WWE bought WCW. The title gets a little cloudy, so you have to think about that lineage, just the WWF/E Heavyweight Championship. And that's why I don't even call it the WWF World Heavyweight Championship, because that's not actually what the title's called. It's just called the WWE
And that's what they never called it either. And not to get into the whatever, but other companies would be like, oh, we defend our championship all over the world because we're a world champion. Like the entire time, Hogan was the WWF champion. They never called him the WWF World Heavyweight Champion.
No, nope, They just called him the World Wrestling Federation Champion.
Same with Bruno. He was the WWF champion. So, anyway.
Yep. And, I mean, there is a distinction to be made there. It's...
That's me being a WWF.
But like I said, folks, this is not, like Mark and I were talking about earlier. I mean, if you're talking about the greatest, most historically significant, you would probably have to have Hogan and Andre at the, up at the top somewhere because of WrestleMania 3 and the significance of that match. But the match kind of stinks. So that's what I'm saying is this is our personal favorite matches to watch for the WWF title. So yes, I guess
as far as a moment goes, yeah, that was a big moment for wrestling. But as far as I was so entertained watching this, that was definitely not one of those.
Right.
Not for me, anyways.
If I'm watching WrestleMania 3, I'm gonna watch that match, but that's not a match where I'm like, man, I gotta watch Hogan and Andre tonight.
Right.
Just watch that match.
When we were little, it was a big deal match because look how big Andre is. But as we've gotten older, it becomes there was 8 moves in the whole match.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them were kicks and punches.
Right.
It's not
a 6-minute bear hug. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good moment. It's the feel-good moment we all wanted. But as far as match quality goes, Dave Meltzer, and I hate to bring him up because I know we all hate him, but Dave Meltzer might give that match 1.5 stars.
Right.
Well, to quote one of my favorite movies, The Ringer, I've seen better acting in pornos.
For this exercise, we'll do our format of everybody gives their number 5, number 4, etc., etc. So let's start with Aaron. How about you start us off with your number 5, your personal favorite WWF title matches?
I didn't put them 1 through 5. I didn't know we were supposed to do that. I just picked 5 of the matches that I enjoy, but I'll start with, I'll be ass backwards and I'll start with what I would put as the number 1 on my list.
Okay.
And it is a masterpiece in the storytelling from beginning to end, and it is the 1992 Royal Rumble.
Yeah, you have to, and I didn't put that one on my list. It was one of my honorable mentions. You have to say, and I know you're going to give your case for it, Aaron, so I'm not going to try to steal your thunder, but you have a very satisfactory finish. And you have, I mean, what an assortment of talent in one match.
Yeah, it was the culmination of everything that Vince did when he started the WWF expansion. So he finally had, by 92, he finally had like every one of the top tiered talents from all the territories that he stole from. It's just admitted he stole them. And it was all in one match. Like, everybody is in this fucking match. And it tells a great story from beginning to end. Like, I know it had to have been, because it was Pat Patterson booking it, obviously. But like, right from the beginning, DiBiase goes in number 1, Flair's number 3. Okay, Bulldog eliminates DiBiase, right? And as DiBiase is leaving, Flair's coming in. So say everything you want to say about DiBiase, but for the time he got there until about this time, he was the top heel in that company.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it was like, without passing the torch, it was passing the torch. Like, DiBiase's character was walking out and Flair was set to be the fucking man, you know?
Yep. And to what you were saying
he walked
about
down that aisle, and at the end of the night, he was the fucking man. And good.
To what you were saying about the talent involved, you have everybody from Ric Flair, obviously, Hulk Hogan, Sid Vicious, Roddy Piper, Kerry Von Erich.
Piper. You said Piper, didn't you?
I said Piper, Kerry Von Erich. Even Tony Atlas is in the match, I believe, as Saba Simba. I mean, even if they have a gimmick,
everybody's in it. It's great. It's the who's who of 80s wrestling and transitioning into that next period for the WWF. And it's hands down my favorite Royal Rumble that ever happened. And I think everything about it was great, and the finish was fantastic. I enjoy everything about it. I can sit down and just watch the fucking Royal Rumble in 92. Like, not even the rest of the show, which the rest of the show is really good too, but I can just fast forward through all that and I'll watch Royal Rumble 92.
I can say when it's Royal Rumble season and I want to get into the mindset of watching the Royal Rumble, the first Rumble I watch is 92. It's always the one that it's my go-to to get hyped up for what the Royal Rumble is going to be that year. So, and Flair did a great job. Everyone involved was a star, like you guys said. And the promo afterwards is, one of the best promos you'll ever hear. So,
Mark, anything else on the Royal Rumble 92?
I don't know. When you said Tony Atlas, I just wanted to go, ha, 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 ha.
And let's not also forget the soundtrack of that match. Bobby and Gorilla on commentary.
Oh my God.
Love it.
Bobby's terrified the entire time.
That's not fair to Flair. It's a skirt. It's not a kilt.
Yeah. All right, Archie. What's your? I mean, if you want to start with 5 or start with 1, however you want to.
Well, I mean, I have them numbered differently. Like I shouldn't, but I'll start with what I have at number 1. Is WrestleMania 4, Randy Savage versus Ted DiBiase in the finals of the World Title Tournament, the WWF Title Tournament.
It's a fantastic match, and and again, I did the same thing to Aaron. I'll let you give your reasoning since it's your pick, but for me, it's one of those things where you're just coming off of, and this isn't a knock on him, and he's not a bad wrestler. People, I don't want to say that. Hulk Hogan wrestled the type of match he was supposed to wrestle. He can go, but you're just coming off of 4 years, essentially, of Hulk Hogan wrestling monsters.
Right.
And so you're changing the pace here because you've got Randy Savage going to become your champion, and this one is technically superb.
Right. It's 2 technically sound guys. Savage, who's fresh into being a face somewhat, but maybe a tweener. DiBiase, who's the ultimate heel. telling a story in that ring. And it really started something different, like you said, Nate, to go from muscular monster Hulk Hogan battling monsters to now technically sound wrestling is a totally different other thing. It was a changing of the guard.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then the story after the match of Hogan helping Savage and them shaking hands and kind of, you know, becoming friends somewhat, it led to that whole year of Hogan and Savage battling the Twin Towers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Savage in parallel. Then them finally breaking up. You got lust in your eyes, brother. That one match, which DiBiase did a great job, and it wouldn't have went. It would have been just as good if DiBiase would have won the world title that night. But it set off a full year of build to Hogan versus Savage at 5.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, the match itself is fantastic.
Yeah.
Aaron, Mark, any comments on that matchup?
It was just the two best wrestlers on their roster at the time. You can't deny that. Having a great finish to a wrestling tournament. And the tournament itself, I would consider a championship match, honestly. And it told a great story.
Right.
Nothing else I could say that pretty much ain't already been said.
Any final thoughts on that one, Archie?
No, just definitely one of my favorites. When I play back old WrestleManias, that is definitely something I always want to watch because, like I said, you think about how great Savage did, but then you also think about what could have been if DiBiase would have won the title then.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And then also kind of what Aaron was saying about the whole tournament could be considered a great title match. The story of Savage, winning 4 matches in one night.
Right.
4 different outfits.
Yeah. 4 different style opponents.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he ran the gamut.
It showed him. It was a showcase of Randy Savage being the man. And I know it wasn't a championship match, but it's I think what Brett kind of stole, which anything in wrestling, you steal it, Brett stole that mindset when he won the King of the Ring. He's like, I'm going to go out there and have 3 different fucking matches and show that I'm the fucking worker in this goddamn company. And that's what Randy did.
Agreed.
So which match topped your list, Mark?
All right, so we're going from like
No, well, just whatever's your number one. Do your number one now.
okay. My number one is not from any big pay-per-view or anything like that. It was from Rampage in Sheffield, England. And it was Randy Savage versus Shawn Michaels on April 19th of 1992.
That's a good-ass match.
Yeah,
That's a good-ass
Deep
match.
cut. It's a deep cut, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, I when I was looking through all the title matches and stuff, I was like, this really needs to be highlighted.
And I believe it might be the only time they ever had a one-on-one match.
I agree.
Yeah. And it was prime Shawn and Randy.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the outline story with Sherry and Liz, them two at each other. And it was just a great match between 2 future Hall of Famers. So,
And everything I've ever read, I don't know if it's true or not, but Randy wanted to do an actual, because that match had no angle, it was just a match.
right.
Randy was adamant about doing a fucking angle with Shawn. And it was one of the sticking points of him leaving because Vince is Shawn, it was the sticking point of Vince saying that Randy was old, even though he wasn't. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But Randy always wanted to do an angle with Shawn Michaels, and it just never fucking happened, and Vince never let it happen. And it should have happened. It would have been a great feud, and I'm really glad you brought it up because it is a really good match, and I didn't even think about it. So that's a good pull, Mark.
Yeah, I love the Archie's reaction. Whoa.
Yeah, right. Because as a kid, I remember that every Coliseum video that they would like do a preview of, they'd show like a bit of that match.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I can't believe I forgot about it. You know what I mean?
Well, and I remember seeing it, like you said, in the video clips and going, where can I find
Right.
that match? And what goddamn tape is it on?
Right.
But yeah, it's and you know what? To be honest with you, I don't think that where Aaron and I were, I don't think that our video store ever got that video. So I may not have even seen that match until
Yeah,
the internet.
I've seen every other Rampage but that one. Because there were like 3 or 4 of them. Whenever they would go to the UK, there was a Rampage, you know.
Yeah,
so.
and they're all on the network now, and I know I've seen the match since the advent of the internet,
Right.
but I don't think I ever even actually got to see it back then.
Nope.
No, and then but looking back on it now, you're just like, man, these two fucking guys could go. And Sean played, you know, the chicken shit heel, and he gave just as good as he got in it, and it was a great match to me.
I agree. So there's going to be a common theme here as we've gone through our top. Aaron, this person was in yours. Archie, this person was in yours, and in yours, Mark.
Well, in my defense, everybody was in mine, but that's okay.
I know, but I'm just saying, still a common theme. My personal favorite WWF title match of all time from WrestleMania 8, Randy Savage versus Ric Flair.
Oh, you got one of mine. Yeah.
It's in my
That's
honorable
on my
mention.
list too.
It's in my honorable
That is my favorite personal
Oh no, wait, I
favorite.
removed that from my list actually. Yeah, I removed it for something else. Okay. But still a damn great match.
Oh, it's a fantastic match, and it's two of the best ever in their prime, wrestling on the biggest stage with a fantastic story going into it.
Yep.
And it's Randy being Randy, like angry, crazy Randy. You haven't been beat up properly yet.
Yeah, that's after the match, but
and it's Flair being it's okay. So WWF, when they brought Ric Flair in, you know, they didn't ever call him Nature Boy. They just called him Ric Flair. He was a WWF version of Ric Flair. But during that rivalry with Randy was the most actual Ric Flair was allowed to
Right.
be.
You got Horseman Ric Flair.
yeah, and Flair talks about it in his book. Like, you know, like he's been characterized as being like paranoid. And always thinking somebody's trying to get over something on him, and really protective of Liz and all that.
Right.
Flair said it was like crazy because Flair said he had none of that with me. You know, and like he was like, "Oh man, I want you to kiss Liz," and he was like, "Are you sure you want me to like do that? Because I don't want you to lose your fucking mind." He's like, "No, I trust you, man." He's like, "I'm Ric Flair. You trust me?"
I'm the dirtiest player in the game, motherfucker.
Like, and it's like Savage seemed the most comfortable with any wrestler that he ever worked with. He always seemed the most comfortable with Flair. And I'm not knocking that match because that's a great fucking match and it's a great fucking story. And it's not even Flair in it. It's Bobby and Kurt doing their part of it. You know, that's a great fucking faction. It only lasted about a year.
Not even
a year, but it's a great fucking faction. I actually enjoy Flair Savage more. It's like the one or two times I'll say this. I actually enjoy their WCW shit more than their WWF shit.
Because they got to go longer in WCW. Like
And
their
Flair,
feud
and
lasted,
Flair
you know.
Flair, like Nate was saying.
Yeah.
And Flair had to be Flair in it. But that WrestleMania 8 fucking match,
I remember back at the time thinking, how could they not do Hogan and Flair at WrestleMania?
Right.
And then you look back in hindsight, and it's like, God, it was such a good decision.
Thank God they went with Hogan and with Flair and Savage. But
my mindset looking back at it is, how is this not the last fucking thing on the show?
Right. Even as a kid, I remember going, how is this not Flair and Savage as the main event? Who gives a shit about Hogan Sid right now? You know what I mean? And then when they went out there and did the damn thing, I remember even being more mad because I went, so wait, they had a picture perfect matchup that ended with an actual ending with Savage winning the title, and the Hogan and Sid match went to a disqualification.
Right. Doesn't work
You
for
know?
me, brother.
Yeah, you could have brought Warrior back mid show. It didn't have to be in the main event.
All right, Aaron, what is your next match?
My next match, number one, I'll just pick one, and we'll piggyback off of Archie. And it wasn't a long match. Honestly, it only went like 20 minutes. It was the Macho Man versus Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 5.
And you just took my next one off my list.
Sorry, bro.
That's all right. That's all right.
I think it's in the top 3 greatest stories ever told.
Definitely.
And the match itself, if you look at all the story going into it, and I know we were just looking at the match itself, everything about it's fucking perfect. Like, Savage comes out, Hogan's second, Ventura's pissed off. Ventura does it. When we're talking about a match, can I say that I think the commentary team holds a lot to it?
Yeah.
Yes, without a doubt.
Ventura is doing, I think, his best work as a color commentary I can't
Tater.
Tater.
Tater. Hey, Tater.
Tater salad.
He's doing his best work as a color man in this fucking match, because he is pointing out all the shit that we've like talked about for the whole year, where Hogan was a bastard during this whole thing, you know?
Right.
And Hogan's trying, or Ventura's trying to like articulate it, and Monsoon's like pushing it back, and the match itself is great. Savage comes out first, then Hogan, and fucking Ventura bitches about Hogan coming out second, and all this, that, and the other thing. And then the Savage stalls, and then the minute they fucking lock up, Hogan like throws him across the ring, and Savage pops up, and he's like, Jesus Christ. Like, I realize now I'm in a fucking fight, and it's like Hogan's doing his power shit, Savage is doing his technical wrestling shit. It's a great fucking match, and Liz is helping both of them.
Yeah.
Right. She's torn between the whole match.
The whole thing's great. And it's like Nate said, it shows that Hogan can actually fucking work when he needs to, you know?
Mm-hmm. And
he didn't look at him working with Randy Savage.
No, I actually, in my notes on the match, it's not only my second favorite WWF title match, it's Hulk Hogan's best match to me.
I agree.
It's my favorite Hulk Hogan match, and I there's plenty of Hulk Hogan matches that I dig.
It's my second favorite Hogan match. You know what my favorite Hogan match is, Nate?
Tell everybody.
It's Hulk Hogan versus Harley Race from Saturday Night's Main Event,
which is also great. But
they do hardcore shit in that match. It's great. Anyway,
this match is again my favorite Hogan match, one of my favorite title matches of all time, and like Aaron said, high drama, everything you need, the perfect cocktail for a great pro wrestling championship match. Archie, Mark, any more thoughts?
Well, you said it's a perfect cocktail that they never stopped selling up until the ending of the match. Mm-hmm. Because even till the day WrestleMania went on the air, it was, whose corner is Liz going to be in? Is Liz going to turn on Hogan? So it kind of made you guess the whole way through.
Right.
You know, you thought, well, Savage could win. What's the difference if a heel walks out as champion?
And even the ref, I don't know. I don't want to say that I'm smarter than anybody else, but because once they brought Earl in with like the belt change or whatever, I don't know if this was Earl or Dave in this match.
I think at this point it probably was Earl.
But he even does a good job. Like, Savage keeps putting Liz in fucking situations, and the ref's like, come on, Macho, what the hell are you getting the ring? like, he's even like, Jesus Christ. Like, everything in this fucking match is perfect. And I think it's not only one of, if not the greatest WrestleMania main event of all time, it's in my top 5 WWF Championship matches ever.
Archie, what is
one of the greatest stories? It's one of the greatest stories ever told.
I agree. Archie, what is next on your list?
Mine is from WrestleMania 12, the Boyhood Dream of Shawn Michaels and Bret the Hitman Hart in the Iron Man match.
That was a
damn good match.
Yeah. I remember watching this show in New York City at my first cousin's house. He ordered the pay-per-view for us. And the whole pay-per-view was okay. But then we got to this match, and I remember him and I glued to the TV for that whole hour and 5 minutes that it was on. We never uttered a word. We didn't talk, play fight or whatever. You know what I mean? It was just, we're watching.
The way the match is structured is perfect.
Yeah.
It's and it's not on my list. It would definitely be an honorable mention. My favorite Iron Man match is on my list, but it's not this one. And this is not taking away from it, because the match is, first of all, you have the two best wrestlers in the company at the time.
Right.
Second, the match is structured perfectly, because if you watch that match, the first 40 minutes of that match are a Bret Hart match.
Right.
And the last 20 minutes are a Shawn Michaels match. And it's fantastic. You can't take it. I can't find the only hole I could find in it, looking back in hindsight, and I know why they did it the way they did it. It was for the drama of it.
Right.
The only hole you can find in it is if you have two high caliber pro wrestlers at the top of their game. I can't see them going an hour without a finish of some kind.
Right.
And I get it. I get it. You're telling the story. I'm not shitting on it at all.
Right. And they wanted to make that left-hand turn of telling a news story of Bret got screwed slightly.
Yeah. Yes. For the WWF, in their defense, it's the first time they'd ever done it.
Right.
That might have been foresight for some things to come.
Oh yeah.
Maybe.
Bret said it in every interview after that. It was always, and it started at WrestleMania 12. Well, it was supposed to be an hour. But no, we had to have overtime, so that was the beginning of the end for Bret.
I actually like the fact that neither one of them could pin the other guy.
Well, yeah, it was a very big tit for tat type of fight.
To me, that makes it like, even though Bret lost, you just showed your audience that these are the two best guys.
Right.
And the whole story was supposed to be. Kind of like Savage Hogan, we're going to build this for the next year.
They did.
Where Shawn's like, I pinned you, and Bret was like, it took you an hour and 5 minutes to pin me.
Right.
You couldn't do it in an hour. It was supposed to culminate with. It was supposed to be a 3-match saga with those guys. It was supposed to be 12, where either one of them could beat each other in an hour, and Shawn got the overtime. Bret beats Shawn at 13, and then Shawn beats Bret at 14. That was supposed to be the story.
Mm-hmm.
I think what killed it, honestly, was Shawn telling Earl, tell that fucker to get out of my ring. Right. Bret was like,
yeah, their real life drama kind of poured over and caused it to not. They couldn't do business for years on end. They could do it in spurts for 2 or 3 months, and then that was it. Until one of them said something stupid.
And you know what? You can say what I have said a million times. Bret is probably my second, third favorite wrestler, other than Randy Savage being number one. My top 5 is kind of fluid. Sometimes it's Bret, sometimes it's not. But anyway, as far as their problem goes, yes, they both have a lot of blame to be taken. Bret has a huge ego. Bret did take himself too seriously.
Right.
But and as much of a Shawn fan as I am, though, Shawn was the biggest problem back then.
Oh yeah.
He was a fucking pain in the ass.
But here's where I will defend Shawn. Bret's ego allowed him to get in the way of the good nature like ribbing, and then Sean would turn it up a notch. Like, for instance,
Right.
you guys all know I can be very jokative, and I'll throw a joke here or a jab there. But you also know that if you give it right back to me, I'll laugh with you.
Right.
Now, imagine if I gave you guys that little jab or joke, and then when you did it back to me, I pissed and moaned.
Right.
That's Brett would constantly, the minute Sean would give it right back to him, Brett would go, you know, Vince, this guy's very unprofessional. He's very dangerous in the ring. I don't think I can. So that Sean would go, well, fuck it. Now I'm going full force.
Right.
So, as much of a problem as Sean was, if Brett would have kept it lighthearted, then we might not have heard Brett was having some sunny days.
But I really do think it starts with Sean going, tell that fucker to get out of my
Yeah, no, without a doubt.
Because Sean denies a lot of shit, but I've never heard
Sean
him
was on a lot of
deny-
coke.
and he denies a lot of shit, but I've never heard him deny that he told Earl Hebner to tell that fucker.
Well, no, you can hear it on. You can hear it. You can hear him. You can literally hear him say it. He can't deny it. It's on tape.
Right.
Anything
But
else
the-
on that match, guys?
No.
The build for it was perfect. He's seeing these guys work out, seeing their backstory. And, you know, I've said this before, Nate, seeing guys that started out as tag teams and they were fighting as tag teams, Hart Foundation, Rockers, then they went single, so now they're fighting for the Intercontinental title, and that story gets revisited. But then now they make it to the main event and they're fighting for the world title. That's my favorite, because how could you not love two guys that came up together and battled up that ladder together until we get to the culmination of they're at WrestleMania fighting for the title.
Right.
And not like I said, not trying to be like a WWF apologist or a Vince McMahon supporter, because I know he's made bad decisions or whatever.
Like that mustache.
But those were Vince's dudes, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
those were boys. And they were Pat's guys, you know. Those were Vince and Pat's guys.
Right.
And I think it was a great match.
You guys mentioned the mustache. I'll throw to Mark now, but I'll do it in current Vince McMahon voice. Mark, what's the next on your list?
My next is gonna be at WrestleMania 10, and it is going to be Bret Hart versus Yokozuna.
Yokozuna.
The rematch.
And that one's a culmination. That one's a culmination of a year worth of storytelling that got fucked up by Hulk Hogan, because it could have been an actual year of storytelling.
Right.
But it's
Kid's not ready, brother.
It's yeah. He's only been champion for like 6 months. He's not ready. Fuck off, Hogan. At that point, fuck off, Hogan. Go away. But no, and Mark, go ahead and tell us why you put it on, and then we can all go with our reasoning. Why you're correct.
Just to me, the two different styles meshed very well, and you had Bret, you know, as kind of like the smaller underdog, and I like those kind of stories being told where the underdog comes out on top.
For some reason, I don't know what it was, but I see what you're saying, because I've always said it was always awesome to watch Bret wrestle Yoko, and I don't know what it is about the two of them.
They had a rapport.
They had a synergy in the ring that they were like,
Yeah.
it was like they were meant to wrestle each other.
Yep.
When you would see Yoko start to do his arms waving like he was about to fall, Bret made it look more believable than anybody else when he would knock Yoko down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
Bret
because
was
he
a
looked
luger.
like even though this dude is falling down, he is so big, I have to bring my arm
Right.
all the way
Right.
back to my ass to hit him, to knock him down.
Right.
And Bret would sell it with his face, like, Jesus Christ, this fucking guy. And I know there's a lot of great big man workers that have existed in professional wrestling, like Vader, Andre. I'd put Animal in Bam Bam, all those guys. I think Yoko's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could do shit that most of the big guys wouldn't do.
Like
That cartwheel kick.
that dude
Exactly.
is super fucking talented.
How did he hit that cartwheel kick better than Owen did? And Owen was 300 pounds lighter.
Right.
You know?
A lot of practice, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
And on a
Almost
side
think
note, you brought up Owen and we brought up Yoko. Love those two together.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite tag teams. But
Like,
Bret
I
versus
got
Yoko at
this big
10.
motherfucker over here. He's gonna fucking help me get where I need to go. It's good shit.
Right.
And go ahead, Archie.
In Yoko's mind is Owen is going to help keep me relevant to like get back to the world title picture. And Owen's mind state was, hey, fuck it. I'm going to use this guy too because I want to get to the world title picture too. You know, but they became best friends in all of it together. So
And back in reference to this match, you have like I said, you have the story from last year at WrestleMania 9.
Right.
You have Roddy Piper in the mix as the champion, which goes back to the story from the year prior at WrestleMania 8 because Bret beat Roddy. So where does Roddy's loyalty lie?
right.
You have that mixed in too. And then, like I said, two of the best in the business at the time doing what they do. It was great.
It rewrited a wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. And the reaction to the finish from the crowd was fucking
Right.
awesome.
Well, and then you look at the major storyline that started it. Luger and Bret both get eliminated from the Rumble at the exact same time. Co-winners, first time ever in history. Luger lost earlier in the night to Yoko because of Mr. Perfect disqualifying him. And Bret lost in the first match to Owen and is injured. So
And-
now, here's the main event. Oh, okay.
And the story they don't tell you that never got to come to fruition. The fact that on the take Tunney had a double-sided coin. That's why Luger got the first shot of the
Right.
title. Tunney's like fucking with his sleeve before he flips that coin. I was like, I know it wasn't supposed to be the story. They used a double-sided coin so
Right.
that they get, but it looks like Tunney's like healing on Bret Hart, trying to get Luger that first title shot. Well, good pick, Mark.
Definitely.
The next match on my list was Hogan and Savage at WrestleMania 5, so I'll go to number 3. And this is my favorite Iron Man match. It's from September the 18th, 2003 on WWE SmackDown. Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar.
Nice choice.
Great choice.
Yeah.
Doesn't Brock bash him with a chair like right at the start?
Yes, and it's one of those matches. Not only is the match itself great, but the last 10 minutes
Right.
is insanity because if I remember, and I don't have it obviously written down, but if I remember right, like they went into the last 10 minutes and Brock was up like 5-2 or 5-3 on Angle. And then Angle, I think it was 5-3 or 5-2, because then within that last 10 minutes, Angle gets it up to 5-4. And then in the last 10 seconds, he has the ankle lock on Brock. It looks like Brock's going to tap, and then the bell rings. So Brock wins the title doing 5-4. But it's just, you can point to any of the matches they ever had against each other. But I just love this one because, like I said, it's my favorite Iron Man match of all time.
And they did it on TV, which was ballsy.
Yes, and not to mention, I mean, just if you take that time period, 2003, just take that 1 year, 2003. I'm talking wrestling, I'm talking MMA, I'm talking just in general, even amateur wrestling. Are there two better fucking athletes on the planet than Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle in 2003? Jesus
and the
Christ.
respect level they had for each other after their Mania match. Going into this match, the storyline was that they were being buddies and, you know what I mean, trying to push each other. And then Brock turns heel during the match. It's like, damn. You know, they ripped our hearts out during the match because, like you said, Nate, that last 10 minutes of that Angle scrambling and trying to get back to the win and, you know, being down. And it's just like, okay, go. And then he ends up, the last minute tap out doesn't even get him to win. It only makes it 5-4. So,
but yeah, I love it. And like I said, no disrespect to Bret and Sean, but that Iron Man match is my favorite Iron Man match. There's two athletes at the top of their game, fucking tearing it down.
Yep.
So unless you guys have anything else on that, Aaron, we'll go to your next one.
My next match is a match that happened on January 4th. Well, it didn't technically happen on January 4th. It aired on January 4th, 1998. And it was Mankind defeating The Rock for the WWF Championship. And it happened on Raw. Obviously, it wasn't live. It happened like 4 days earlier. But this was Mick defeating Rock for the WWF Championship. And I didn't even pick it just because of the historical significance of it. Nate, you told me you didn't want to do historical significance of it.
It's your personal favorites, bro.
I picked it because this was me as a kid watching Raw and going, holy fuck, a title just changed on fucking Raw. And everything around it was fucking fantastic. Like DX came out and they were helping Mick. And then Steve comes out and he stuns The Rock, and fucking Foley wins the belt. And he's like,
"Oh, you stole mine."
This was like one of the coolest goddamn things I'd ever seen on fucking television. And I think it's one of the most significant fucking title matches that's ever happened in wrestling. And it's the thing that flipped the war. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was my reason for choosing it, Aaron, because of the what's the word I'm looking for? When snow comes falling down the mountain, I can't think of the word.
Avalanche.
It was the avalanche WWE needed to take over WCW because of Shivani saying that'll put some butts in the seats.
And proving that they picked the right winner, because that meant people wanted to fucking see Mick Foley win the title.
Right.
That should have been the third natural disaster right there, Avalanche.
Avalanche. Well, it was in WCW.
He was in W, yeah. But yeah, the match itself is high drama. It's good stuff. Of course, Mick and The Rock they're like Yogo and Brett. They were made to wrestle each other. Not as much as Mick and Triple H, but the I keep using the expression, but the I don't even know what the word is.
Chemistry?
Yes, the chemistry between the two of them, and
watching Vince and Shane standing on the stage, just being like, no, this is terrible.
Not this Muppet.
Yeah, like everything about this fucking match works for me. I fucking love it. And I think it's one of the best things that WWE ever did on television. It's like I don't know how to say it. Like there was like a lot of gray areas with the characters in the WWF at the time, like with DX and Steve Austin and this, that, and the other thing. But all of those characters
in one blender.
All of them were just like, fucking Mick. It's a good guy. You know what I mean? Like even Steve Austin was like cool, and DX was like cool. Like this should be the guy. He's an alright guy. And it's like Mick said, it was like Foley in his book said that it was like it wasn't even like him being given the championship. It was like just like him giving them giving him like a lifetime achievement award.
Mm-hmm. Right. After all he'd been through.
Yeah, like all these guys know what you did, and Rock made him, Triple H made him, and those guys knew that he made them, so they put him over. I think it's kind of like what I said with Macho Man and Hogan. It's kind of like a great fucking story.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Archie, what is next on your list?
Well, Aaron took my next one, so I'll go on to my number 4.
Mhm.
And that is Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker from SummerSlam 98.
That one is
pay-per-views, by the way.
Yeah, the whole pay-per-view as a whole, the whole night is just filled with great matches.
So let us know before we start blabbing. Let us know why it is one of your picks.
Well, one of the reasons is being that it has one of my favorite songs as its theme song, "Highway to Hell" by AC/DC. And number 2, because man, when Austin and Taker were getting to SummerSlam, everything that went on, this was almost at the tail end of the Ministry Taker, so he was kind of in between Ministry Taker and I guess Vampire Undertaker, because he had the the black teardrop on his face and everything, and
Killed a guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he thought he did.
They
resurrected and cost him the championship in Bad Blood.
They just introduced Kane and everything. There was so much going on. Shawn was obviously gone. They were making Triple H and The Rock. And you have these two, like you mentioned a few times, Nate, the two best in the company going at it. And they just didn't fight in the ring. They tore down every announce table. They beat the crap out of each other. And the crowd was behind both of them.
And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, because I do have an opinion on this match that I have held for a long time. And all of us lived through this era.
Right.
We might have listeners that are younger that didn't actually live through the Attitude Era. Wow. But anyway.
Go back and watch, kids.
From living through the era, and you guys, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just this specific match. Okay. Steve Austin beating Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 14. Austin wins. Austin becomes a champion. Okay. And then you have, he starts his feud with Mr. McMahon, who brings along the Dude Love character to feud with Austin, which is a great story. And then he goes through some stuff with Kane. But this match with Austin defeating The Undertaker at SummerSlam in Madison Square Garden is actually, to me, the match that solidifies the Attitude Era and Austin as the top guy.
Right.
I know he was popular, but him beating Undertaker, the biggest star that's around, because Hogan and all them are gone, beating Undertaker in MSG at SummerSlam solidifies Austin as the man.
Right.
It's because it happened clean.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like him beating Shawn at Mania was solidifying him as the champion. But him beating Undertaker at SummerSlam and MSG is solidifying him as the fucking man.
Right. I agree. And Aaron said it happened clean. And it was, you hear all the stories that Shawn didn't want to do business with Austin. He didn't want to let him beat him. He was willing to drop the title the next night because his back was, so badly injured. And then you are with Taker a little while later. And Taker jobbed out to him cleanly. Didn't even give a shit. He was like, Austin's the next in line. Give it to him.
Do business.
I'll have my title run later on, which he did. He went on to have more title runs that were longer and better. And, but this matchup, like you said, Nate, it personified what Austin had become. Here, kid, take the company, go into the next millennium. And again, on the back burners, we're also making Rock and Hunter. They just had a killer ladder match tonight. So we got his next challengers waiting for him.
Exactly.
So,
Mark, what is next on your list?
What is next on my list? I'm pretty sure it probably didn't make the rest of these lists. It is from the Elimination Chamber 2017. John Cena versus AJ Styles versus Bray Wyatt versus Dean Ambrose versus Baron Corbin versus The Miz.
Does Bray win his first world title?
I don't even remember it.
This should have been Bray's breakout. This should have been when Bray Wyatt was made into the world. But
yeah, I mean, just the match itself, there was great storytelling, like down to the order in which they were released from the pods and everything. Like, and then having Styles and AJ Styles and Bray being the last two, and then him going to hit that phenomenal forearm and into the Sister Abigail. It was just perfect.
Right.
Like the stars were aligned here. And
well, because you imagine, Mark, that here comes Cena's win. Cena's getting the title back. You know what I mean?
Right.
Cena's still going to be the man again. But then AJ eliminates Cena. AJ goes to eliminate Bray. And then Bray Wyatt wins. And you're like, fuck, I didn't know they were going to do that. Wait a minute. You mean we're actually letting Bray Wyatt hold a title?
Yeah, and that was another reason why I loved it, because I love seeing him get his roses there, and then the what could have been.
Well, he had to lose. He had to lose it to Randy Orton at WrestleMania that year. It had to happen. Randy didn't have enough title wins up until then.
I wrote the match down, and the reason I wrote the match down is, to be perfectly honest, I probably haven't watched it since it happened. So I'll go back and watch it. If you recommend it, then I'll go back and watch it. You know how I am with the modern product. I'm kind of hit and miss.
It's not your typical elimination chamber, like, oh, they put everybody through a pod, and this guy did a crazy dive, and this guy. They were actually having a wrestling match between 6 guys in that elimination chamber that night.
And that's what I enjoyed the most about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't just spot fest.
Right. Aaron, I know you don't have anything on that one.
I've never seen it.
Sorry.
Which, I mean, that's what's good about these type of things, that we get to share what we enjoy.
Exactly.
The next one on my list, going back to 1995.
Oof.
It's the Survivor Series. It is WWF Champion Diesel versus Bret the Hitman Hart.
That's fantastic. Is that the one where everybody? No, it's not the one where everybody comes in.
That's the end. That's the one where it's their rubber match. That's the one where Diesel. That's the one where Diesel loses his shit after he loses the belt.
Yep.
Those two guys always worked well together.
That's where it's a small package at the end, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So it was the one after the run-ins.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I was just trying to. I didn't mean to.
That's fine.
Diesel's when Aaron mentioned the small package, when Diesel finally gets out of it and he just looks at the camera and goes, "Fuck!" You're like, "Damn, did this guy not know he was losing tonight?"
Well, okay, so to dig into the match a little bit, this is definitely my favorite Kevin Nash match.
Yes,
and it's also one of those matches where you watch it. Whenever you watch Kevin Nash with Bret, you see that people are wrong that think that Kevin Nash can't go, because Kevin Nash could go.
Yes.
But what I will say about this is I heard this on, I think it was from Nash's podcast, that I didn't know originally, and this is according to Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash said when he got the title, it was supposed to be like what we've got right now with Roman. Vince McMahon told him, no matter what happens, you're not losing that title for years. I want you to be a long-term, multiple-year champion. That was what Vince's vision was in the beginning. Kevin Nash says that at one point Vince wanted him to do he wanted to try to work out a thing where Kevin Nash would fight Mike Tyson in Central Park. And Kevin Nash said, "Fuck you. I'm not fighting Mike Tyson. He would knock me the fuck out in 10 seconds. I don't have any conditioning to box Mike Tyson. He'd kill me." And then Vince McMahon said, "Oh, that's fine. We won't do it, pal. By the way, you're going to be dropping the strap to Bret at Survivor Series." So then, essentially, Kevin Nash says that Vince McMahon was like, "Oh, yeah? You don't want to fight Mike Tyson in my dream match? Well, you're going to drop the belt to Bret Hart at the Survivor Series." But that's Kevin Nash's story. Whether he's telling the truth or not, I don't know. But it's a fun story anyway. But the match is fantastic. And then Kevin flipping out at the end, And then the next night on Raw, doesn't have to do with the match, but he comes out and does the whole, if you're with me, you're with me. If you're against me, you're against me promo.
I'm only bumping fists with people wearing the black gloves. And it's like,
Can
what?
I say this? Can I say something?
Hmm?
Not about the match, but about the aftermath of I'm not going to bump fists with anybody that's not wearing the black glove or whatever. I know we got Steve going into like King of the Ring or whatever, but it was Vince having the idea of this anti-fucking hero.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if Nash wouldn't have left, he could have possibly been the fucking Steve Austin of the goddamn thing.
Yeah, and
Well, yeah,
if you
because
know what,
he blamed
honestly,
Vince.
if he wouldn't have given his notice, I guarantee you, if he wouldn't have given his notice, they would have had him turn on Shawn. Because the goal was for him to be, like you said, the anti-hero. He's not a face, he's a tweener, and he's a hard ass. But I'm sure that he still would have been friends with Shawn Michaels. You know what I mean? Like they turned him on Shawn because he said he was leaving, so they wanted Shawn to beat him.
Right.
But yes,
And-
but the
So
Brett
that's not out of left field with my thing.
no.
No, not at all, because of his promo was I won the world title for Bob Backlund, and I got rushed to Stamford and got told, you're going to be a friendly champion. And I'm like, but wait a minute, the guy that won the title was this barbaric guy that ran through 5 people at the Survivor Series.
Right. Yeah.
So how could you make me a friendly champion? So essentially what he was saying is Vince turned me into a pussy.
Yeah.
Which is what Vince's
And
character
Austin-
tried to do with Steve.
Well, but they brought that out into the light, right? You're going to wear a suit. Don't wear those boots. You got to be a corporate champion, Steve. And then Steve fought it. But that was out in the public. This was Nash essentially doing it. He might not, half of what he said might have been not. He might not have been told to say that.
Right.
He might have just been pissed off. So yeah, I think he could essentially have been a Stone Cold type character had he stuck around.
Archie said that he may be a pussy. No, I hate that phrase for the plain simple fact. I love pussy.
Well, I love Kevin Nash.
And Kevin Nash loves pussy, from what he says. So
Aaron?
Had to lie.
Aaron, what is next on your list?
I think I have like 2 more left, right?
I think so, because I only have one left.
yeah, I only have one because you stole one of mine.
Okay, I have 2 actual choices and 1 honorable mention. So, you guys want my 90s or 2000s?
90s.
90s?
Yeah.
My 90s is Brett and Owen from SummerSlam 94
Good choice.
in their steel cage match.
Good choice. I like that a lot.
Current modern day Vince says good shit, pal.
I think it told a great story, and it's the most athletic. When I say this, it's gonna sound stupid, but it's the most athletic cage match I've ever seen in my life.
No, you're not wrong. They don't. Normally the key to a cage match is, and this is not knocking what Brett and Owen did, because what they did was fantastic. But normally the key to a cage match is we have a blood feud. We're going to settle it in a cage, which means I want to rake your face against the cage. I want to bust you open against the cage. I want to do, but
they're
with
brothers.
these two, and also they're wrestlers. They're technical wrestlers. So they went into a cage, and yes, they utilize it a little bit, but their instinct is to have a technical wrestling match. So they have a technical wrestling match within the confines of the steel cage.
Yeah, because like I look at it as I look at the psychology of it as these 2 guys being brothers, okay, and Owen going into it wants to show everybody that he's a better wrestler than his brother and this, that, and the other thing. And yeah, they had like a hate feud, but ultimately it's still your fucking brother.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to rake his face across it and do all this, that, and the other thing. And it's a great fucking story, and the ending's perfect with Owen getting his leg caught up and Brett hopping down and winning, and then fucking Neidhart clotheslining Davey over, and they get Brett back in the cage, and all the brothers are trying to get in, and all that. It's a great fucking story.
Mm-hmm.
I love that goddamn match.
You guys want to hear a crazy thought that entered my head while I was watching that match as a kid? It was, what the hell happened to the beads on the British Bulldog's hair? Because he had this Jerry curl all over.
He had Brett hair.
What the fuck?
He had Brett hair. Like
Yeah.
he just went. It's like him and Brett got the loot to the same hairdresser.
He's wearing this corduroy vest with no shirt.
I want you to give me the Brett bloke. Give me the Brett.
Yeah, you know, it just didn't look like the Bulldog at first. I'm like, wait, is that Davey Boy Smith? But no, the story being told in just that match alone, the family, you know, at odds, you know, who's going to help Brett, who's going to help Owen. Jim Neidhart's there for, you know, because they're reigniting that, and then here's Davey Boy to come and save the day. Perfectly laid plan.
But I love that fucking match. It's my second favorite cage match ever.
Because it had that sense of realism, like
Right.
you know, when you bring that stuff that you could actually envision possibly happen in real life, it makes it more compelling.
Mm-hmm. Archie, what you got
All right.
next?
My last one on my list. We've talked about it in droves, so we don't really got to go that much into detail, but it is the WWF World Title match that made me a fan, and I will always praise it. No matter how bad of a match it was, or how good of a match it was, or not. WrestleMania 6, Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior.
It's Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I'm just in general, it's that proverbial passing of the torch. You know what I mean? Hogan kicking out at the last second, but yet Warrior still won.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It was everything it needed to be, and then maybe even some stuff we didn't want it to be.
And also to put it in context for the time, there are three things about this match that stand out. First off, big match feel.
Right.
Secondly, being kids at the time, living during the Hulkamania era of pro wrestling, it's a babyface versus a babyface? The
Right.
fuck? Well, we didn't call him a babyface. We weren't smart fans yet. It's a good guy versus a good guy.
Right.
And then it's title for title.
Which it really wasn't.
No, it really wasn't.
Well, you're right. Nobody believed Hogan was leaving with the Intercontinental title that night. You know?
But yeah, I mean, as far as like, and again, it's personal favorite. So you said no matter what anybody wants to say about it, but they can say whatever they want to. But if it's one of your personal favorites, then it is.
It's a gripping match.
It is.
Right. Like at the time you're watching it, you're like, what the fuck? Who's gonna win? Like it was I don't want to say it. It was the first match where I knew the shit's rigged. You know? Which is fine. But I didn't know, like, what are they gonna fucking do?
Right.
Because Warrior's the man, Hogan's the man. What the fuck? And I mentioned Hogan and Savage going in. It's like, you know, Hogan's gonna go fucking over. He's the baby face, you know. The baby face is always gonna go over at the big show. But these two, it's like, who's gonna fucking win?
Right. They're evenly matched.
And it's a really good goddamn match between, honestly, two guys that probably shouldn't have had that good of a match.
Right.
And the fact that match turned out good all comes down to the fact that Hulk Hogan wanted to put Warrior over.
Right.
If Hogan wanted Warrior to fail, he could have made Warrior look like shit in that match. Because, like we've mentioned a million times, Hulk Hogan's actually a good wrestler. So he could have made Warrior look like shit.
Yep.
Yeah, but Hogan saved himself later, like after the match.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The whole passing the torch with the he did. He knew what the fuck he was doing.
This shit works out because I'm gonna be the last thing you see as I leave. You know.
Well, Mark, what do you have next for us?
Should I go with my passing of the torch, or should I go with just another personal favorite?
Personal favorite.
Yeah, personal favorite.
We're going to WrestleMania 14 then, and it is going to be The Undertaker versus Kane.
That's not a title match.
Yeah.
Is it not?
No. Fucking Austin beats Michaels on that night.
Yeah.
Okay,
what,
well,
You're
what are you
disqualified.
smoking? What are you smoking?
That's when Kyle. That's like Kyle being
Shut up,
like,
Archie.
even Guerrero never worked for the WWF.
All right, let's talk about Austin and Michaels then, because I love
All
that
right.
match. Like, this is
Mark's trying to rewrite history, everybody.
legit though. This is my favorite WrestleMania.
Well, all right. Austin and Michaels. Good shit, pal.
With Tyson as the enforcer.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. But yeah,
when Kane did that triple plancha off the top rope
Oh God.
and grabbed the Undertaker into that Huracan Rana and spiked him to win the New Japan Pro Wrestling Championship, it was fucking.
Oh my God.
I love you too, Aaron.
Now, in Mark's alternate universe, it was not Mike Tyson as the enforcer. It was Lennox Lewis.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why don't you give us your last pick?
Yeah, let's go with the right one. My passing of the torch one is The Rock versus John Cena at WrestleMania 29.
Boo.
Archie.
I was at that match. It was terrible. I'm not bothering Mark, but my feelings on that match is that didn't need to be twice in a lifetime.
Yeah, but I mean, it was two of the biggest names of their respective
Yes, I
era.
agree.
And
I
that's
would say, Archie, here's where I'll defend Mark against your boo. I'll defend Mark against your boo because not your wife. Not your wife. Yes.
You leave my boo out of this. Leave my boo out of this.
But I can see Mark's coming from the same place with that match as you were coming from with Hogan.
Yeah, no, I'm only playing with Mark as far as the boo goes, but I mean, I was really there live, and I remember fans in attendance thinking Rock should have won, even though he was a part-timer, and we knew he wouldn't be there all year again. But I mean, the storyline for that 2-year build was fantastic.
Yes, and the match itself is really good too.
Yeah.
The emotion. The only thing I'll say about that, and this is not the match, and I know Aaron probably remembers me. He probably doesn't remember me saying it then, but because it's been however many years. But that WrestleMania really, I couldn't. Okay, I don't know how to say this. I couldn't get into that WrestleMania because not necessarily the card, but I don't know if you guys remember. And Archie, you said you were there. That felt like the most corporate WrestleMania.
Yes.
It was just like it was almost like they were trying to make a WrestleMania for their shareholders that didn't even watch their product.
Exactly. Well, I mean, all right. CM Punk versus The Undertaker on paper sounds like the best match ever. Not that good. The Shield versus Sheamus and Randy Orton and The Big Show was a throw together. Brock versus Triple H was just so Triple H could get back his win. You know what I mean? But then you get to Rock versus Cena, and they actually did steal the show. They were a great main event. You know what I mean? The emotion when Cena hit the rock bottom, and when the Rock went for "You Can't See Me" was incredible. It took the air out of the arena. So that one match, kind of saved the whole show. But WrestleMania 29 as a whole, not one of the better WrestleManias.
Well, my first one, that was the botch, kind of saved this whole show. You're welcome, motherfucker.
It definitely popped us. I will say that. In unison, we were like, "That's not a world title match."
I think they had it listed wrong. Which one I was actually thinking of. That wasn't it like Bad Blood or something where they had the title match that year.
Probably.
They were. Let's see. You're talking 98.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was whatever the pay-per-view was before the Survivor Series, because they had the match that made the title go vacant so that Rock could win it at the Survivor Series.
Yeah, it was Undertaker and Kane, where it's one-on-one with Austin as the ref. Austin doesn't count; it counts both of them down. Grabs the belt and walks out. Next night, Vince vacates the title.
Yeah,
Right.
And
So
then they break his ankle, which is great
Yep.
fucking television.
Yep.
Oh, he got caught.
Yeah, that's good shit. That's good shit, pal.
The last one on my list, and then I'll mention one honorable mention since Aaron knocked Hogan and Savage off my list.
I only have one honorable mention left. But go ahead.
The last one on my list, number 5, greatest WWF/WWE title match, or personal favorite, not greatest. My personal favorites, 2011. Money in the Bank, John Cena and CM Punk.
Oh wow, very good match.
Yep,
an excellent match, an excellent story. This was like, and the reason I think this one sticks out to me so much is by 2011 WWE. As a wrestling fan, I'm always going to be a fan. I'm always going to be a fan because I love wrestling. But by 2011. I had gotten to the point where I am now, where it's like,
right.
It's just wrestling just isn't appointment viewing anymore. I'm going to watch it on tape, whatever. I'm not going to watch it live, blah, blah, blah. This match this whole thing captured my imagination. And that hadn't happened in a long, we had just gone through a few years of guest general managers and fucking hornswoggle shit. And
the only thing they didn't do that I would have liked with it was they didn't let it live longer after the fucking match.
Right.
Know? Like,
but the match itself
is great. And him blowing the kiss to Vince and leaving with the belt.
Yeah, he should have been going like 6 weeks to 2 months.
The atmosphere, the commentary, just everything going on. It's such a good match.
It was great, but it should have been Punk. I know they couldn't do like 6 months in this wrestling,
but it should have been 6 weeks at least, not 2 weeks.
It should have been like a couple instances where like Punk shows up at Ring of Honor with the WWF or the WWE Championship. You know,
right?
That would have made it great.
And Aaron, answer me this: the world title doesn't have to be defended, but once every 30 days or every 60 days. Why did they have to get a new champion the very next night?
Yeah, that's what I'm
right
saying.
away they went to a tournament. You know what I mean? It was like, why aren't you giving this a chance to work?
Like, my favorite thing Punk did with that was when he showed, like, on, I don't know if it was Twitter or whatever, but like he took a picture of the WWE Championship in his refrigerator.
Right.
That was great shit. And they should have just let Punk be Punk for like 3 months with that belt.
I agree. AJ Styles did it in TNA and actually worked out. You know what I mean? But Nate, to back you up with this match, I remember we all remember the pipe bomb promo. And that night, I was watching wrestling in my living room, and I just started screaming when he began cutting the promo. I literally marked out. Mm-hmm. And my wife came in the front. She's like, "What's going on? What's wrong?" I'm like, "He just cut the greatest promo ever." And she's like, "Oh, give me a break." And then I replayed it for her, and she went, "Did he really say all that?" I'm like, "Well, you're watching it." You know what I mean?
I mean, there's just nothing like the summer of Punk had happened in wrestling since frankly, since the Monday Night Wars ended.
Right.
So it was just I don't know. It was just, and again, I'm supposed to be talking about the specific match, but just what goes into a match, a story, right?
Right.
And it's just that whole story, and then it's in Chicago. When Punk comes out, the crowd's so loud, it's fucking the camera's shaking. The match itself is fantastic, and the whole story is fantastic. And I agree with Aaron. I think we may have even said it at the time. Like, it would have been cool to see them let CM Punk go defend the WWE title in some fucking gym somewhere or something.
Right,
you know, just to rub it in. You know,
right. If CM Punk faces Dave Smith at
Yeah, right.
Yarwood tonight in Alabama. You know what I mean? And he sends a video to Vince, so he has to play it on Raw.
See, that's where you messed up though, because you said Alabama. They took him there, and they'd be like, "What do you mean you don't drink, boy?"
Right.
What
We
you
don't
talk?
take
What you
Kyle
talk?
and you around here.
Yeah, what you talking about? Straight edge.
We don't like no teetotalers here.
We give a moonshine out the bottle down here.
You one of them wrestlers? You like John Cena? One.
So,
No,
Aaron,
good-
how many
good
more
pick.
do you have left?
Nine.
I have one actual match that I put on my list, and then one honorable mention.
All right, so go ahead with your last one that's on your list.
It's the Undertaker and Brock Lesnar, Hell in a Cell, No Mercy,
Good match.
2002.
Good match.
I fucking love this goddamn match.
I know you do.
It is hands down my favorite Hell in a Cell match. Taker and Brock are fucking perfect in it. The story, and like I said, like you said, we're not supposed to talk about the story going into it.
Well, no, we can. I mean, like I said, the story, you have the match because of the story. So
the story going into the match is like Brock is the end all be all. He's the badass, and then he encounters the Undertaker, and he has to break the Undertaker's hand to get into the fucking head. Like he breaks Taker's hand going into it. So Take's now in a cast, and they start the match with what I think is some of the best storytelling. Is Brock chooses to go into the cell first. He's the champ. He's like, I'm going to enter first. And guess why he wants to enter first?
Why?
Because he wants to be able to get the fucking jump on the Undertaker.
Right.
Because he's like, fuck, now I have to go into this goddamn cell with the Undertaker, and he's a fucking badass, you know? And the whole match, it's selling Taker's hand being broke and the cast and all this.
and not to mention, I don't mean to cut you off, but this is 2002, and Brock came in the night after WrestleMania, and to kind of give a little weight to what Aaron was saying about Brock wanting to get the jump on the Undertaker. The Undertaker's the first guy that Brock perceived as having his number.
Yeah, he's terrified of him. Brock is terrified of the Undertaker, and he does a great job selling it. And Taker does a good job of selling the fact that his hand's broke. And like there's even a point in the match where they wind up on ringside, and Taker goes to pick up the steps, and he can't pick it up because his hand's fucking broke. And they all bleed. Like Taker bleeds, Brock bleeds, even Heyman bleeds. Heyman is standing outside of the cell watching Taker beating up Brock, and he's trying to like get at him, and he's putting his hands through the holes in the cell, like, you son of a bitch, like, why are you fucking up my guy? And Taker grabs his tie, him being Paul, he grabs his tie and slams him into the cell repeatedly. Now Paul Heyman is bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the entire fucking match, like, I can't give it justice describing it, but I love this fucking match. And I know it's not like the greatest thing that ever happened, but to me, watching it, I think it tells a great fucking story. And I think it's one of the best, not only championship matches that ever happened, but I think it's one of the greatest Hell in a Cell matches ever.
I agree. All right, Mark, you didn't have any left?
No,
Archie didn't have any
I
left.
botched one.
Yeah, you got disqualified on that one. But just real quick to round it out, because I think everybody had great matches that they brought up, and I think this is a great discussion.
I can't bring up my last honorable mention.
But no, I was going to say, if you guys will humor me for a second.
Okay.
I have 2 honorable mentions left, and I will just say them really quick. And if you want to expound on it, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. The first one is Mick Foley and Hunter at Royal Rumble 2000.
Yeah, that's the Falls County where
Yes.
was Cactus, right?
Yeah, that's a
Madison
damn good
Square
match.
Garden. And then the other one that I would say is an honorable mention for me, it's Unforgiven 2001. Steve Austin as the heel, Kurt Angle as the babyface in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And Angle beats Austin for the title, and it's just a fantastic match. And again, it's the fantastic story. You know, Angle's coming home, and you get the feel good moment because he actually taps Austin, and it's just so good, so good.
It is.
So, Aaron, you said you had another honorable mention.
Let me make sure this door opens properly. I'm gonna honorably enter my house. I replaced that door that you said was annoying. Guess what it is, Nate?
What is it?
It's a match from, I'm going to say 94. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a match involving Bret Hart. And it is the Raw match between Bret Hart and Sean Waltman.
Yes, it is July 11th, 1994 on Monday Night Raw.
You had it in your list?
No, I didn't, but it's one of it would be in my top 10, and I know that it's in my top 10 because I know the goddamn date for the match. It was, I believe it was recorded earlier because it's not a live Raw, but the match aired on July 11th, 1994, and it is Bret Hart and Sean Waltman as obviously the 1-2-3 Kid, and Bret being a consummate professional, Sean being the fantastic worker that he is, and Bret giving the Kid a career-defining match.
Yeah, it's one of the best wrestling matches that you could fucking see, in my opinion. Like
Sean Waltman gives definition to the word prodigy as a pro wrestler. Like, he doesn't get discussed enough in literally the all-time great bell-to-bell in-ring workers.
Yeah, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but he was one of the guys that, like, Pat or Vince would just be like, "Oh, this guy's coming in.
Yeah.
Let's put him in the ring with Waltman," and then Waltman would come back and be like, "Yeah, yay or nay." You know what I mean? Like, thumbs up, thumbs down type of thing. That dude was great. And that was just one of my honorable mentions matches, is that Bret Hart 1-2-3 Kid match. I think it's great.
Definitely. Most definitely. The only other one I can think of, like off the top of my head, that would be in my top 10 as we round it out, actually goes back to just after that Bret Diesel match that I mentioned. It's Bret and Bulldog at the In Your House in December of 95.
Oh, that's when Bret is that gusher.
Yeah.
That's good shit.
That's a fantastic match too. But this has been a great discussion, guys. And at some point, Archie was abducted so he's not with us at this point. But
I'll call him and be like, if somebody took him, I'll be like, I gotta have I'll tell him I have like a good set of skills. I don't know you and you don't know me,
but I'm coming for you.
but I'm coming for you.
Well, once we end, I got a idea for a future show.
All right. Well, we will discuss that off the air. But Mark, do you have any parting words for our listeners this week?
Just keep listening.
Talk about your breaks.
Yeah, I'll plug that too. But first and foremost, continue listening to everything on the WrestleNet Radio Podcast Network. We Can't Wrestle, Reliving the Extreme, A Slice in Time. If you smell what the arch is cooking, Nothing But Trouble. Maximum Gold. There's so much good shit out there that we bring y'all that is worth taking a listen. So just continue to listen. And if you are on the Whatnot app, check out All Sports Breaks. I break WWE on there. Been pulling some massive cards. Undertaker to 10 autograph redemption, Batista to 99 autograph redemption, 1 of 1 Batista out of the WWE Revolution. We just constantly keep the hits coming. So
definitely go check that out. Aaron, your parting words.
I don't know what a breakout thing is, but just keep listening to the shows. I think everybody's show on the network is really good, and everybody's shows are super entertaining and funny, and I think we are the how do I want to say it, the best kept secret in wrestling podcasts, and we don't want to be. So if you're listening to this show and all the shows on the network, it's the network, and you like them, share them, comment, put it out there, because that's the best way to get a podcast over is by word of mouth. So
absolutely.
Tell your buddy and have them tell their buddies.
Yeah. That's the best way to get it over. So share it, comment on it. And those of you that listen to it on the regular, I appreciate it.
As do I, and I want to thank Aaron and Archie and Mark for participating in tonight's conversation. It was a great discussion. Every single one of the matches that one of us mentioned, if you're a younger wrestling fan or somebody that, hasn't always been a WWE person or whatever, because, one day maybe we'll do this for the WCW title or something, but tonight we were talking about WWE.
A lot of those. Let's do the NWA title next.
check out the matches that we mentioned if you haven't seen them, because they're all in their own way good shit.
I didn't mean to say it secretively when I said that. I was trying to put my pants on.
And because I'm obsessed with Vince,
you did this whole podcast without your pants?
Just the last 27 seconds.
Oh, got you.
And because I'm obsessed with Vince McMahon's new voice, I will sign off by saying, thanks for listening to We Can't Wrestle Podcast tonight. See you next time. Mustache out.
Mustache out.